Hey, everybody's wife played with their before, and everybody's wife has sent a video to a guy. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you're not the guy. So don't say it's wrong to sit here and judge, man. It's weak.
Sign me up, we staking up, knock the dust off his dust bucket, they had to pick him up. I pulled up in a slut bucket, bitch, you know what's up with it, lane with it, rock.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Friends. First and foremost, I want to say Happy New Year 2026 to you all for real. I hope you all locked in this year. My goal is this channel for it to reach minimum 1K subscribers. I'm going to try to stay consistent. The first react of the year, I wanted to switch up the niche a little bit. Start off with a new niche reacts. We're gonna kick it off with Jubilee. You get me? Before you hop into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go to 1K, like the video. Let's have fun with it. Let's see if this is gonna be interesting.
Depression is a choice. I guess it just doesn't really make sense to me why someone would choose to be in a miserable state for a long time.
I would just say to you, like, do you know anybody in a toxic relationship?
Fair enough, fine. But what I'm wondering is then, would you blame people who stay in toxic relationships and call them weak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome back to...
This is gonna be one hell of a controversial episode, I won't even lie. We're also gonna be part of this debate, gents.
And if they agree with them, they will step forward, and if they disagree, they will remain seated. Our first middle ground statement from part 1 is, should men spend their time watching porn?
Hey yo, what the fuck?
If you agree with that middle ground statement, come to the middle. If you disagree, remain seated. All right, so all of the men who came forward here agree that men shouldn't spend their time watching porn, and you guys are the degenerates who think I'm just joking. You are the defenders of porn.
I have the advantage of already having the mic in my hand, so the thing about this is that there's this absolutist attitude about things that could be addictive that I just think is counterproductive. Also, there are measurable benefits to porn. We never talk about it, but there are lots of tangible benefits available to people through porn. Now, I'm not saying it's everybody, but I'm just saying we villainize this thing when there should be nuance.
Benefits. What are the
Yeah, what benefits is he talking about? Do you all think there's any benefits to watching porn? He sounds very confident in what he's saying. Let's hear what he has to say.
I'll just have found, for instance, that it can be an additive to couples discussing their desires with each other. It can also provide people context who need better understanding of what their sexual desires are. In fact, a lot of people report that the language they use to describe sexual stuff with their partner, they learned from nowhere else but porn because it wasn't available to them anywhere else. Does that make sense?
What about you? You want to...
Yeah. So to attest that, I have a personal example. So like, I don't care if I embarrass myself in front of everyone, but like, so I discovered through porn that there's an action called like sex wrestling. So you're wrestling with your partner, and then it leads to sex, and you're wrestling in a very sexual way. I don't do that like every time I have sex, but it's something that was cool that I learned through porn. Like, it's about exploring sexuality as well as like being a way for some people to vent.
So I think porn, like, objectively, yeah, probably bad for your brain and things of that nature. However, there are obviously people benefiting from it, like people consensually involved. Prostitution is one of the oldest jobs in the world, if not the own. And I'm very on the, that's the strange thing, because with conservatism, we want more power to our people, right? We don't want governance. So the ability for people to make their own decisions to, be in pornography. And then in terms of consuming it, yeah, like my boy said, you can't learn some shit, man. How you gonna learn how to eat a chili ring? Like, properly when you're not watching porn on Munchbox, bro. You guys crazy. And then also
I would agree that there are some controversial benefits, but the real reality of you just watching porn, sitting there watching another man get busy with another hand, and you grabbing your meat, just gooning to that.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
That's just overly demoralizing, I won't even lie. Just out there watching your kids fly into the toilet, bro.
good release, because some of us, there's a whole spectrum of sexual desires. Some guys are cool being, Mr. One and Done, but like, bro, if I'm not nutting, it could get crazy, bro. Who knows? We can't let all these menaces out on the street. This guy's not out of the way. Not saying I'm a menace, right? Like, you gotta bust sometimes, bro, and my imagination is not that good, and I can't draw that well.
All right, so really quick, I think there's traditional porn. Then I think if you have a wife, girlfriend, or something, and y'all decide to record something, come on now. Are you telling me that me and my woman can record something? See, this is what I'm talking about. We're not being out. We want to see our woman in ways, and women love it. It's a flirty way. I think a lot of you guys are talking about the outside porn. I'm talking about inside the relationship, the porn you make.
Okay. And then we're gonna come to the circle. We're gonna hear from the circle in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just the first thing that came to mind, I don't know why I'm defending you guys, but I don't know how, we define porn, but it would seem like maybe that exists outside the bounds of commercial pornography, just like making a video with you and your wife that isn't for commercial sale. Regardless, that's not the point that I really wanted to make. What I wanted to say was more that I also really want to echo Ryan's point. Yes. Just regarding I don't think there are any clear binaries here. I think that I would be very sympathetic to everything you guys said, that if, a man were to come to me and say, should I watch porn? On balance, I'd say probably not. And I think the negatives largely outweigh the positives, but I just think that humans are too vast and diverse to tell everyone what they should and shouldn't do. If you're not, harming anyone, if you're not hurting anyone else, now there's arguments to be made that there's certain aspects of the porn industry that can be harmful, and maybe those could be better regulated, but I don't think that we should go around saying that these benefits don't exist, or they shouldn't be considered, or for some people, that they shouldn't do that. I'd say for most people, probably not a great idea because of the unrealistic expectations and fantasies that it does create. I am completely on board with that. I have had my own experience with porn, and if I could do it all over again, I do wish I hadn't watched it. However, I don't want to put that on to everyone.
So I think what this guy is basically yapping and saying all about is that the negatives of watching porn is definitely made in the positives, obviously. It depends on the person and what they go and watch porn for, if they're trying to help themselves get better in the bedroom, whatever. But if you're just sitting there watching another man get busy with another hand, that just says the type of person you are. If you get no host, it's try. Put yourself out there. But then if you genuinely go on that platform to be like, okay, cool, let me go and learn how to try new tricks to go turn that shorty on, improve your skills. Say you already get host and you just want to get creative. The other guy said he was talking about wrestling with his hand in the bedroom. I don't know what he's doing, if he's pinning it down, if he's giving her RKOs on the bed. But then that's fair. That's a fair point that I would low-key agree with.
Look at Randy Orton slithering. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything, just to speak to you right now, there's anything traditional or conservative about watching two strangers having sex online. It just seems very weird and bizarre.
You're a cuck if you do. You're losing.
And I don't even think it's beneficial in the context of marriage, because what if that pornography gets leaked somehow and it's revenge porn now? Now whoever's involved has a much bigger problem, which is one of the problems that come from pornography. I'm a Christian. I believe in traditional Christian values. I believe that it's adultery. So you're committing adultery against your wife by viewing somebody else. So I just think it largely has societal implications. Also, if it were one thing that it was going to just stay in the bedroom and maybe just you and your spouse are going to see it, maybe, but but that's largely not the porn that we're dealing with. It's everywhere. Even if you don't want to see it, you unknowingly get exposed to it.
I kind of want to ask a question to the men who are on my side of the spectrum. You talk a lot about the benefits of porn and stuff like that, and those things might be legitimately accurate things, but do you have any gripes with the porn industry as it exists nowadays? With the racism that's being exploited.
Everything is problematic. It's not like anything we discussed on this show is without problematicness. But yes, porn is problematic, but that doesn't rule it out as valid.
Nor is it by nature problematic, so let's not do that.
And if I can, I think I would want to clarify too that porn in and of itself isn't the issue so much as maybe a lack of regulation and responsibility placed on the business side of porn, to where there needs to be more management and oversight. Whereas porn, just by the nature of its very existence, is neutral. I understand that there can be religious connotations that may make a different analysis of that, but at the end of the day, it's still people, right? And oftentimes, especially with the porn industry, not always, there are women that are at executive positions and in the top two, but is also regulated predominantly by men. And so I think it comes back to us as men being responsible for what we're putting into the world and what we're allowing to put out there. And briefly, if I can shift for a moment, genuine question to explore your mind with this. But for example, I don't doubt that it is against the Christian faith to watch porn in whatever format that might be. But I would also be curious to know why, as a Christian, why not just make the personal decision as, hey, we as Christians are not going to watch porn, and exclusively we are against it, but whatever everybody else wants to do, fine, whatever.
Yeah, so as a Christian,
I think before we break down his point and see if it's actually valid, to see what the genuine Bible says about watching porn for real. We have to make sure that we are accurate about every argument we're going to make today. We have to be 100% accurate. Before we make an argument, we have to know the general truth of what this man is saying, or to win any other debate, matter of fact. Let me type this. Let's see what it says. Let's see what the Christian Bible says. Let's see. Does not mention pornography by name, but it speaks very clearly about sexual purity, lust, and guarding the heart, which is why more Christian teachings watch porn as sinful. Okay, look, here's the reasoning. Lust is condemned even though no physical act happens. You know, who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery in his heart, or his or her heart. Christian belief sin isn't only about action, it's also about intent and desire. Porn is designed to stir lust, so it falls under his teaching. Okay, that makes sense. Sexual immorality is warned against, so flee from sexual immorality. Okay, it is God's will that you should be sanctioned, that you should avoid sexual immorality. So generally the Bible says it's wrong. Regardless of the way you see it, it's already committing adultery by looking at it before even committing the act. Putting it out there. Porn is seen as sexual activity outside God's design for chowing, which Christianity teaches meant for marriage. Okay, it affects the heart and the mind. So generally, if you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus Christ, then originally it should be wrong. You shouldn't be indulging in it. And I agree with this 100%. So homie over here, yeah, he had a valid point saying what he said.
I would disagree with that, and it's actually, I'm glad you asked that, because I want to touch on something that I think is a little bit broader of why do we think that some things are right for everybody. And I think that's the main difference that I've noticed between the progressive arguments and the traditional arguments, is that we seem to be rooted in something objective, that it's not just right for me. If something is correct, it is correct objectively. It's correct not just for me, but for everybody. And it's something that I've noticed throughout this debate. You know, should men wear skirts? Well, I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. And should people do this? Well, it doesn't really matter. They can do what they want to do, and we can do what we want to do. And I wanted to point that out, because it seems like that is the anti-social position, that you can do this and you do that and we can do this. And I think that the traditional side is that, you know, we have to have a sense of community. We have to come to a conclusion on things that are objectively correct and things that are objectively incorrect. And pornography is one of those things. It is detrimental. And for you to just say on every subject that, well, it's nuanced and there might be some benefits and one woman might have been helped. Okay, well, that doesn't really tell us anything. Should we watch pornography? And that was the question. Should we do it? Not, are there some nuances, or is it good for some people? Is this something that we should encourage? Is this something that we should promote for people to do?
I saw some movement. Real quick, I want to hear what he moved out.
All right, tell you what I moved out. I can't stand judgmental people, man. Y'all, what's crazy about y'all guys, y'all act like y'all never, or maybe you haven't had a woman like you enough to take her clothes off and masturbate for you. Or show you a titty picture, or show you her ass picture.
Why were you in and now you're out?
Because because Mr. Judgmental over here just shifted my. Because listen. Wait, no.
Okay, let's hear what he says.
Listen. That's what I'm saying. Y'all, I cannot stand. Listen, I respect what y'all are saying, but when you get judgmental, That's where it gets crazy. Y'all, if you know the game, you know women are very sexual, and women love their bodies, and women love to appreciate their bodies, and women love men who appreciate the woman who loves touching their body, especially their husbands and girlfriends. So where we're going wrong is we're trying to say because we're not the guy to get them turned on. No, because everybody's wife played with their before, and everybody's wife has sent a video to a guy. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you're not the guy. So don't sit around. It's wrong to sit here and judge, man. It's weak. It's weak. The wife is a freak. She is. She's freaky. She loves sex.
In a normal Islamic tradition, I can speak on behalf of probably most Muslims in just this regard. It's just not permissible. It's not in our deen. Deen just means a way of something. Like, that's not in our deen. It wasn't around 1400.
Now when they bring religion into it, now I feel like that's subjective to not religion, because Islam can have one meaning and then Christianity can have another thing, and they may look at it different ways. I don't know where they're going with this, but let's see.
Years ago, it wasn't around 1500 years ago, and it's just not a part of our akida, like the way how we conduct ourselves. So
first of all, I think fundamentally there's a disagreement that we're being judgmental from this side. I think I literally sat up there and I said, I'd done it before, right? That's not me judging. That's me saying I have the experience of what it can do to you. It's not a good thing. If anything, I'm judging myself and saying I engaged with it. It's not something you should do. And just because you guys think you learned how to put a Hot Wheels in your butt, that all of a sudden that's a benefit, right? Like, that's a weird example, but you guys are agreeing, I'm hearing, that there's outweighing of bad things, and there's a couple good things you could get from porn, right? But that's not what we're saying. We're saying, should you do something or not? And we're agreeing on this side that you shouldn't, because the bads outweigh the goods, even if there are goods.
Well, that's not what everybody said. And this is the thing that I want to, Aldo and I've had beef about this before on this show. What he said that I think is reflective of what some of you feel is that because of your faith, you have an objective accuracy with your point of view. And that whether you think it should be legislated or whether you think it's just how we should have social norms, one of the problems that I have and that some of us have with all of this is that you think that you believe, and I get it's part of your faith, you believe you're morally superior and your judgments thereupon are superior to ours, but that is a bullshit reason to make a mandate for other people. And nobody's saying, like a lot of you guys have repeated what we've said inaccurately in furtherance of that. So I just want to be clear, nobody here is the authority on this, but you guys have got to stop discrediting our points just because your faith backs you up.
The really quick point I wanted to make is just, I'm here because they said we should spend our time watching porn. Like, how do you spend your time?
Right.
Not porn.
Well, yeah, it's like I spend my time walking the dog and doing the dishes, and I volunteer at an animal rescue. And to me, when you say spending your time watching porn, that just implies a level of time commitment that I don't think is quite good.
Let me address something.
No, if you watch porn, you goon. What's wrong with you? The level of the amount of time you're saying I spend watching porn, you watch it. Stick with it, don't fight it.
So you mentioned that as long as it pertains to you, as long as you're not bothering the other person, you can do whatever you want, right? Did I
said something about like harm-related things. If you're not harming another person, there's a reason is to not, ban someone from doing something. There's a high bar.
Porn harms you. No. It harms your relationship. There's statistical data. Whatever data you guys mentioned, there's more data that backs our side up.
What the data actually suggests is that the number one predictor in someone having like problems with, like, for example, their relationships or interpersonal problems with porn is moral incongruence. So it may be more statistically likely for someone like you, a religious person or a traditional person, to have an issue with
moral incongruence. When someone's behavior does not align with their values, can lead to those who watch porn to have greater stress related to watching it and higher reports of perceived
porn. But it's actually the case that people who have more liberal views with that may not be as more likely to have issues with it. Now I am standing over here because I think that, like, as Greg, I think, mentioned, I don't think that it's something that we should be spending our time doing in the same way. I don't think that we should be spending our time eating junk food, etc. But it's the balance of a literal sense versus maybe an interpretive sense. I don't think that it is as black and white. And on the point of religiosity, some of the highest consumption rates per capita for porn usage are places where porn is in fact banned.
We're all men here. We're debating porn. I want everybody reach into your heart of hearts and be as honest as you can. Have you watched porn in the last 30 days? Raise your hand if it's yes. All right, go higher.
Also, y'all, the audience that are watching, raise your hand if you have. Be honest. Put your hands up in the comments.
Now go higher.
Come on, don't lie.
All right.
My lady sent me a nice video.
Thank you, guys. Okay, let's reset. Moving on to our next middle ground statement. In part 1, the question was, are depressed men weak? If you agree with that middle ground statement, come to the middle. If you disagree, stay seated.
Yeah, so I definitely agreed.
Oh, I would have. I think depressed men are weak. Yes, I would have stood up to agree that yes, they are.
With the prompt that depressed men are weak, I say that as someone who was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety disorder, actually too, brought on by being a cancer survivor. And it's not, depression is absolutely real, and you can't control when it happens to you. It just does. It could be for any reason, a disease. It could be because a loved one passed away, so on and so forth. But it absolutely is a choice to stay depressed and therefore to choose to stay weak. Again, that's not to say that you can't seek help, which I did. I went to a therapist. I had a social worker. I did what I needed to do to get better and come out on top, and I'm all the more strong for it.
I mean, I guess I just want to respond to that quickly. Is the one who was, the one who was there for that prompt. I mean, I guess first off, I think it's important to distinguish the difference between the literal meaning of that. Depressed men are weak, I guess, in a weaker mental state because of their illness. Sure, fine, in no pejorative sense, or if we're not attaching anything onto it, in complete agreement. Outside of that, I do think that is a harmful idea, and I want to speak a little bit to something that you said specifically regarding the idea that depression is a choice. I guess it just doesn't really make sense to me why someone would choose to be in a miserable state for a long time. Like it doesn't make sense to me. It's the same like that.
It's a choice because it doesn't have to define you. And you said something earlier about the rhetoric that it's harmful, but being presented with reality is what allows you to face it and do what you got to do to manage it and move forward.
And I would agree with you.
Since we're talking about treatment, we're saying men should, everybody here says men should seek treatment if they are depressed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was treatment like for you? What was that?
The traditional men are speaking facts. Before I even hop on this, I need to get the straight general definition of it. Hold on. What is the general definition of depression? Let me hear what you have to say. Depression in general terms, a mental health condition marked by persistent feeling of sadness and emptiness and loss of interest or pleasure in activities that a person once enjoyed, affects how someone thinks, feels, and functions in their daily life. So basically, if you have a grandma's puppy that died and if someone made you feel a certain way and your emotions are all over the place, you feel depressed. If you choose to stay in that state, I believe you are weak, because it clearly shows that it has negative effects on yourself, and if you choose to stay in this negative state, then you are weak. That's what I believe, straightforward, up front.
It was hard at first, having to talk with a therapist, having to meet with the social worker weekly, but over time it helped a lot and it got better and better. And that was an active choice that I made to no longer allow depression to affect me. So it absolutely is a choice.
Well, I wanted to ask a question to you. You said like, why would people stay very unhappy? Why would they choose to stay unhappy? And I would just say to you, like, do you know anybody in a toxic relationship? Like, why would people stay in one of those relationships? And there's a lot of different reasons, but for you to say that you don't know why people would do that.
Fair enough, fine. But what I'm wondering is then, would you blame people who stay in toxic relationships and call them weak?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find fair enough, and I think that is a harmful rhetorical statement to make that demonizes people within those relationships as if they are either primarily at fault for the situation that they are in. I agree that everyone has some sort of personal responsibility for the situation that they exist in, and if people are depressed, they do have a responsibility to do so. But I don't think we should primarily reduce it to a lack of will. It's not a lack of will.
So, I think. Does anyone else work in mental health? Kind of? No? Currently, I'm undergoing my MFT program to become a licensed marriage family therapist right now. So I already work with people who have mental health issues. I already work as a caseworker, social worker, whatever you want to call it. And I won't push back on mental health as it exists. If you're depressed, it's a weakened state of mind, like we said before, right? But I do want to push back on the idea that seeking treatment's easy, as someone who works in there.
Yeah.
As you guys were saying, that like getting over that first hurdle.
That I had was it's temporary, it's not permanent. Yeah. That's something that I would always tell myself. Me being homeless, sleeping underneath the MMA cage, getting ready to train the next day.
And
it's temporary, it's not permanent.
And I have clients who have been homeless for 20 plus years, and just seeing how that 20 plus years of them pushing back treatment, pushing their time to get help, has ultimately jaded them to the idea of even seeking help in the first place. But a lot of that comes from those original ideas that mental health isn't real, or that that their depression wasn't real.
All right, so let's hear from some of the men who are still seated. Why aren't you coming in for the middle ground prompt?
Yeah, so as a mental health professional, obviously, it's not like I don't care, and I don't think that, people should just do nothing, if they're depressed. I think the reason why I didn't step forward was because I feel like maybe I took the prompt a little bit, literally. So, I don't think every patient that is depressed needs to necessarily be hospitalized. I guess maybe that's how I took it. It could look like outpatient treatment, or maybe there's other things you can do. I know for me,
I don't know if it's only me, or it's I don't know if it's the society we're in now that makes depression seem like a disease or something like that. Okay, look, it's an emotional feeling according to ChatGPT. But is it a disease that comes upon you that makes you feel a certain type of way, that you genuinely need treatment for you to come better, that you need to take pills for you to conquer the depression? I don't know, the type of treatment that I would agree with is probably therapy or counseling or talking to someone that can advise you to conquer it, but actually taking straight medicine. I don't know if there's types of depression nowadays in this society or how deep it's going. But at the end of the day, it's a negative emotion, and you have a choice to make yourself feel better. By taking medicine, I'm not sure. Y'all let me know in the comments. I don't know. It's weird. Get over it.
If I'm really anxious, spending time with friends helps. The I Am Affirmations app, that really grounds me. And practicing mindfulness and going to the beach or shopping or. So I feel I
want to reread the prompt for you. Men who are depressed should seek treatment. Do you not agree with that?
I'm saying that some people might hear that and think, oh, they need to be hospitalized. And I'm saying treatment doesn't have to be hospitalization. It can look a lot of different ways.
Right, so but if we broaden that interpretation of treatment, are you in the circle?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I kind of want to say something.
All right, let's hear from somebody inside.
Yeah, I mean,
I just kind of like want to respond to that a little bit because I actually used to agree with that. And there was a time in my life where I was like incredibly depressed, and also just so happens to be the time when I was the most addicted to porn. But that's neither here nor there. But for the longest time, I thought that I could just like fight it myself, kind of like, alpha male kind of vibes, just like, overcome, kind of like, stoicism type thing. Like I was really weakened in my faith at the time. So I didn't even feel like God could even help me because it was just so bad. And I was just like so depressed and so lost. Growing up, even as a, evangelical Christian, is like therapy was kind of like stigmatized a little bit. It's just like talking to therapists is, that shows like a sign of weakness. And I was like, well, I'm a man. Well, I mean, I can't really show that side of weakness, but I'm just saying when I was at kind of the lowest of low in my life, I almost wish that, like going back now, I would have seen like a Christian therapist or something like much sooner, because it is like especially like with the porn thing and just being depressed, it's just like it's really hard to come out of that yourself. Like you need community, you need people. And so I was actually in that side as I was going through that, but now that I'm out of it and kind of on the other side, I kind of understand why it's such like a big thing.
That's completely understandable. You see, this is the most, yes, you prove my point. That's, even though you're a man and you have pride and you feel like it's going to be weak, you've told someone else about you having depression, but then he fought his way out of it, genuinely, because I know someone that also used to feel a certain type of way, the same way as this guy, depressed, and that feeling is genuinely trash. You feel like a bum on the inside, genuinely. And you don't even want to stay in that state because it's so bad. You're going to do everything you can to come out of that state. Every possible thing. That's what I believe. And he just proved my point. I'm proud of this guy.
Yeah, real quick, as a dating relationship coach, what I do with my guys, the problem is, y'all can laugh all you want. You ain't got no game like I have, laugh all you want. But anyway, as I was saying, was the problem is why depression is soft, because everybody can't be a man, and all lying, everybody has to be a grassy and lying sometimes, is because most of these guys, they're not honest. They again, if you're depressed over something outside of relationships, I'm just talking about those, they were talking about relationships. A lot of these guys set expectations for women, and they have a lot of emotions and femininity, and they get all soft, and women don't like soft people. They like aggressive, dominant men who tell women what to do, not in a dictatorship way, but when you're soft and you're weak and you set an expectation for women, and then they say no to you, and then you all soft and broken-hearted, people don't like, excuse my language, a man who has a tighter than a woman. They won't respect those.
So are you saying, if you're seeking help with your depression, that makes you soft?
Well, yeah, no, okay, yeah. Here's the thing is, you're not being honest with yourself, because you can go to therapy and sit there and have a guy say, how does that make you feel? Or you can look in the mirror and take this thing called accountability and sit there and say that, you know what, I'm the reason I'm depressed. It's not her fault. We can't sit around and point the finger at everybody else. We've got to start looking at ourselves as men and not bunny rabbits, and sit around here and saying, oh, the sky's falling because a girl doesn't like me, or I got to go to the gym because a girl doesn't like me.
There was a lot there that I'm going to try my best to speak.
Partially correct. I just care if you're getting treatment to do what you can to conquer it. That is you taking full honesty and accountability for your feeling and finding a solution. I don't care how you do it. Whether you look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a man, I should conquer it, or go to therapy. I don't care. So yeah, I believe it's partially correct.
To the first one, the reason why I wanted to speak to it is because I'm a black man, and growing up in black culture, I'm going to say a lot of us, not all, but I would say a lot of black men are taught to bottle up your feelings inside, not to cry, not to show women any emotion at all. And I would say a lot of men are taught that as well. From a toxic masculine perspective, we're taught, do not show any emotion because it is a sign of weakness. But even in the Bible, Joseph went behind closed doors to cry. And then he came out and he dealt with his business, right? So regarding to the things that he just said, treatment can mean a ton of different things. It could be, I'm going to call my wife up and seek counsel from her. I'm going to call my friends up. It could be going to the gym. It could be going for a run. It could mean a whole bunch of different things. It could be going to a therapist. Treatment can mean so many different things, as opposed to bottle up your feelings inside, don't show any emotion, and then all of a sudden it explodes. And then that's the worst alternative. So I just disagree with what he said because it feels like this counterintuitive process to actually what therapy is supposed to do, and that can mean a whole different ton of things in treatment.
Well, my contention is kind of more so like a little bit too self obsessed in a way, just for lack of a better word. Like it's too inward looking, and I feel like a man's role is to be more so outward looking, out in the world, taking care of business in the world. It's sort of analogous to I'm sure some of the red would agree. It would be analogous to like the woman taking care of like the private home life, and then the man taking care of like the world, and it's sort of like that way we're kind of like looking in a little bit too much. A lot of it seems like it is genuine trauma, but then there's also a lot of it that is like people from like they take slights from childhood and they exaggerate them to a certain level to where they become a little bit too obsessed. And I don't think you need some like psychiatrists that read a few books to tell you that you just need to be more self-reliant. You need to talk to yourself a little bit nicer and stuff like that.
So I believe the general conclusion that they have come to is that they should seek treatment, no matter what form, shape, or whatever, as long as you're finding a solution to conquer. And I agree that is you being a man. That's the conclusion. But this is part 1 of this episode. We're definitely going to finish this episode in part 2, maybe part 3. You get me? But then let me know what y'all think. If you should do more parts of more reacts like this. This is the first ever react of 2026. It's been your boy French. Make sure you like and subscribe. And we out.
W's in the shot. W's in the shot.